Good evening, I'm Bo Williams and welcome to the 7. Let's get a look at the Big 7 stories right now. Topping the list, Joey Aguilar's day of playing college football are officially over. The former Vol QB's bid to secure a 6th year of NCAA eligibility was denied this afternoon. It's been 1 week since Aguilar's hearing in Knox County Chancery Court. At the time, Judge Haggerty said he could not rule from the desk and needed time to review more than 1,200 pages of documents. Well, today we got his answer in the form of a 29-page memorandum and order. Near the end, the judge dissolves Aguilar's temporary restraining order against the NCAA and denies his request for a temporary injunction. Aguilar had argued that he deserved an extra year of eligibility because his 2 seasons of junior college football should not count against his NCAA clock. Meanwhile, the question is, well, who's going to play quarterback next season at Tennessee? Behind Aguilar was George McIntyre. He seems to be a likely option for QB next season, but a competition will certainly be present. Tennessee will have freshman 5-star Faison Brandon in the room, plus Ryan Staub, who the Vols plucked out of the portal from Colorado, will also be making his way to the Tennessee QB room. Now, spring practice gets underway in less than a month, so we'll see how it plays out then. Next on the 7 tonight, we are taking time to remember Wes Rucker, a sports journalist who covered University of Tennessee athletics for more than 2 decades. Rucker died after a 5-car crash on I-40 near Cedar Bluff yesterday afternoon. Rucker covered the Vols on several different platforms, including the Chattanooga Times-Free Press, ESPN Radio Knoxville, and 24/7 Sports before joining WBIR last year. You know, he was honored by Tennessee baseball tonight. The team sharing this picture, saying there will always be a spot waiting for Rucker at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. The Vols head basketball coach Rick Barnes also offering these words this morning.
Just heartbreaking. It really is. It's just heartbreaking, and our hearts and prayers go out to Lauren, his son Hank, and the one that's on the way. And we just ask that God will place a holy hedge of protection around his family and his entire family.
Meanwhile, an investigation by the Knoxville Police Department Crash Reconstruction Unit remains ongoing tonight. Wes Rucker was 43. Continuing our Big 7 list for you now, a Texas woman has now been arrested in connection with the death of a Luttrell man. The case dates back to August when Richard Ritter was reported missing. He was later found dead inside a barn along Old Tazewell Pike in Luttrell. Now, the investigation pointed law enforcement to Kiara Jackson, who has been charged now with criminally negligent homicide. At last update, she was being held in Texas awaiting extradition to Tennessee. Up next on the 7, the National Transportation Safety Board has now released its final report on a plane crash that left the Knoxville pilot and her father dead. You know, we told you when this crash happened in Giles County back in 2023. It involved a small Beechcraft airplane which was flying from Knoxville to Arkansas. The NTSB determined the plane was likely on autopilot and that Jenny Blaylock may have misunderstood the system. Investigators say this may have caused the plane to eventually lose control. Jenny Blaylock was killed in the crash, as was James Blaylock Jr. Continuing our list for you today, the Supreme Court struck down President Trump's tariffs, a move that could impact local businesses right here in East Tennessee. 6 News spoke with UT economics professor Michael Kofed, and we talked about the impacts this decision will have on the area. Kofed says that the Supreme Court's decision could have a positive impact. He says by striking down the ruling, the court is essentially asking Congress to decide how and when to levy tariffs. Before the ruling, business owners had to adjust on the fly to whatever decision the president made. Kofed says the court's decision makes it easier now for business owners to plan ahead because Congress would have to vote to approve or remove any tariffs, which could prevent further layoffs by manufacturing companies.
Now, this comes as a surprise to a lot of folks because they're like, well, didn't we do tariffs to support manufacturing and reshore those jobs? And the answer is no. Unless you are an input provider like a steel company or an aluminum company, then the tariffs might help you, but only by pushing up the prices for every other manufacturer in your area.
Kofed says tariffs may not bring back jobs in coal and steel. He says lawmakers should instead invest in their constituents and expand job training programs like those done at TCAT so they can transition to new jobs in emerging fields. Wrapping up our Big 7 list now, we've been following America's affordability crisis as prices continue to rise and wages remain stagnant. Now some East Tennesseans who are feeling the squeeze are taking action. The Housing for All Tennessee Coalition is hitting the road, heading from Knoxville to Nashville to advocate for safe housing standards and tenants' rights. Advocates are pressing lawmakers to keep East Tennesseans from being pushed out of the housing market by new developments that are not affordable. Some of their suggestions include preventing corporations and private equity from buying up family homes, making sure all apartment and housing units are safe, and expanding tenant rights.
I feel like it gives you roots when you are ownership of a house. I live in East Knoxville, and it's not abnormal for us to see 5 houses on the block bought up. I'm not against families coming into Knoxville, but what I'm against is corporations coming in, buying at mass. And then the houses are the lowest $250K to $500K.
Jasmine Bryant, who you just heard from, is one of the advocates who hope to encourage lawmakers to adopt policies that make sense or that make East Tennessee affordable for everyone. Tennessee's branch of the American Civil Liberties Union asks an appeals court to overturn a decision in a lawsuit over the Blount Pride event. In 2023, Blount County District Attorney General Ryan Desmond sent a letter to Blount Pride telling them they could face prosecution over the event because of a scheduled drag performance. The event carried on but lost its usual location at Maryville College for 2024. In the process, the ACLU filed a lawsuit that was dismissed in October of last year. Now the ACLU is taking the suit to the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals. Of course, we'll keep an eye out for a decision.